Welcome back, guys. This is episode 17 of Stich and Joe Talk CS Go. First things first, I know Joe promised you 2 episodes last week, and I'm not going to say it was a guest episode, and I really think it was something like he said that hasn't been done before, but it's mea culpa. I won't say who the guests are, but I really fucked out. We recorded a hour-long episode, and because I went onto my laptop to record it, and because I used headphones with an audio jack and not a USB cable, it reset the audio settings, so none of the audio was recorded. It was just me talking. It was weird. I mean, you guys know I probably would have liked that in my own head, just me talking, but that's not how it works. So yeah, I apologize to all guests involved. Hopefully you'll see who they are very soon. It's a very unique episode. But yeah, this is a regular episode with my man, Joe, Tolkien Fanatic Cardali. He learned everything about CS, the sensei. So obviously, Joe, the key thing is we had another big tournament, so we have a lot to go off of there, a lot to talk about. But this is not a show. Oh God, I just realized 1 second. I don't want.
What did you forget now?
No, I didn't forget anything. It's just I don't want my mouse crossing over into this. Okay, there we go. So I just don't want my mouse crossing over into the screen, so I got to move you somewhere else. Small thing. It's out of the way now. But yeah, so let's start right away with the global scoop and get going with our bread and butter stuff. So I often in these shows will have a fairly non-story story, and this one is just that ECS Season 3 launched, and it's been a week, so I think the Dev League quals number 1 are over already. And if you like tournaments where prize money is not revealed and where much is opaque, this is the one. This is the one for y'all. But yeah, what can you tell me about the differences in Season 3 compared to Season 2, Joe, and anything else? We can talk about the qualifiers too, the first set.
As far as I'm aware, I believe that the format for the whole Dev League and promotion is remaining the same. ECS takes the approach of no one gets directly demoted out of the league. The bottom 2 teams get sent to promotion, where they play the top 2 teams from the Dev League. So, I mean, much like getting to Pro League, there's a long, extended process into qualifying into this league. They happen to cram it into a much shorter time period, but if you weren't in the league last season, you have to go through an open qualifier, the Dev League, promotion, and if you get through all of that, then you're in the main league. There's a little bit of intrigue in both regions, actually, because for those of you who may not recall, ECS is an organizations own the spot in ECS, so much like E-League. So both Dignitas and Team Solo Mid currently have claim to ECS promotion spots. There haven't been any further statements from the organizations or from the league itself whether the teams will field rosters in these spots. The main league is set to start in a little bit over a month, so be on the lookout for that. I went back and checked the initial TSM going to Misfits announcement, and they only specifically mentioned the EPL spot. So we really have no insight about what's going to happen here. So something to look out for. Okay,
so the ground is set for another possible resurgence of the team org debate, or maybe even a salty tweet or two.
Yeah, and I mean there was precedence for this last season. You had Luminosity, the whole Luminosity thing. This was kind of like an epilogue to that whole incident, but obviously the Luminosity guys went to SK, so the new Luminosity team, which was like the 3rd or 4th ranked Brazilian team, was automatically in the league, whereas the old Luminosity team, the team that we know today as SK, had to play the development league, and they did wind up qualifying to the main league. But you can imagine the consternation that there was initially, and that there would have been if they had missed out on the league as well. In terms of qualifiers, as usual, the European qualifier was pretty stacked. We had Tengri and Pride coming through, your Polish brethren.
Yeah, well, Minis now they're rocking Minis.
Yeah, so that's kind of exciting. We had KPI, the Spanish team, making it to the semifinals, so Lucas was happy about that, I'm sure. As always, there's more good European teams that aren't going to be able to make it to the league than there are North American teams. But the North American qualifier was not without its share of excitement and intrigue either, as we had Bees Money Crew and Premier Rejects, the old Insomnia esports team, triumphing over Miami Flamingos and Splice.
Nice, yeah.
So, I mean, you had kind of household names like Rush, Splice, and Muffin Lightning dropping out earlier on in this qualifier. Names that you probably would have expected since Rush is in Pro League, so on and so forth. But nope, they did not make it. We have America's favorite pug mix of BMC, and then Premier Rejects are your first North American representatives in the North American Dev League.
Which just goes to show you that in the NA scene, the bottom has collapsed. You know what I mean? Like, it just, there is no bottom there is no layer cake. It's just, there's just this chaos.
It's just mush
below a certain level. Yeah,
the primordial soup.
Yeah, so I mean, interesting with Miami Flamingos, it remains a team of high intrigue and high visibility, especially for people on this side of the pond.
For sure.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they were going to have their issues, considering it's just like a random compilation, almost like a bad 90s world music CD or something. But hopefully they get it together. I mean, I'm certainly rooting for them. All right, so moving on to some more tangible stuff. We had this announcement. It was, obviously, we're going back from right after our show came out. So this was Sub Rosa leaving CLG. Good riddance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a fine guy. He's a nice person. We don't need to talk shit about Yassine.
Is that, have your experiences with him been fine? I don't actually know him that well.
Yeah, I mean, I had known that he was on the short list of CLG being picked up, so I had started kind of chatting him up, trying to get some information on him before that whole thing went through, so it wouldn't be a complete blank slate. He's pretty personable. He's nice to chat with. He isn't super duper closed down. He can give you some info, but yeah, and this decision was his decision. He decided he wanted to leave the team, and for those of you who follow the North American scene, you'll probably notice that he's already started playing with the former Envision team, or what is now known as French Canadians, which is just a Canadian premier team. So,
yeah. Well, I don't know. There's something about him seemed off to me. Like, I think the way he handled the whole situation. He tried to pull like a flusha, but he didn't have the pedigree of a flusha to do it. So it just came off looking kind of weird and forced. I guess that's the only issue I had with his handling of the whole really dodgy streaming shooting thing. Personally, I have a really bad eye for that kind of stuff. Like, some people are real fucking experts, like nuclear physicists. They're like, look at the angle right here. It's goddamn 88 degrees. That's when you do, like, when you run like permutations, that's what you get. It has to be a C++. It's like, I don't really know. So,
and he did come out in an there was an interview I saw with him afterwards saying that was something that he never really came to terms with or was able figured out how to handle, which the accusations.
Right. But anyways, they brought in Hayes. This CLG remains like a kind of esports frat. You can never really leave. They'll get you back. FNS walks through the door, and all those jokes about making, what was it, brownies, cookies, or something like that. It was
pancakes, I think.
Pancakes,
right?
Yeah.
Or waffles, one of those.
Yeah. All right, so.
Yeah, and Hayes will only be a short-term substitute.
Right,
they are actively looking for replacements.
Right. I don't know if I forgot to say stand-in. That's what I meant. So, wait a second. Okay, never mind.
Oh, speaking of which, I think we missed something here. Did we talk about... oh, no, you have that in Europe. Why do you have that in Europe?
Yeah.
Oh, because Sweden, okay.
No.
Right.
I just paused because of that. We should probably talk about that here in NA. So let's do it. So this is one of these... In this world of per sources and every roster move somehow being figured out ahead of time, this is one that no one had figured out. Well, I mean, I heard of it a few days early, but it wasn't one where there was like an active conduit of information to the public. So it was Adder joining Renegades.
Right.
I believe, now, I didn't watch the Renegades games, but I believe he made a good show for the team at Vegas.
I think he individually at least, had some decent games. I mean, the team as a whole didn't look fantastic, but I don't think anyone is going to attribute that to him. He held his own down. I believe has some nice deagle plays. And as far as I'm aware, they are planning to continue using him. They'll be using him in Pro League. This wasn't just like a one-off thing. From what I've heard, it seems like the kind of relationship between Ricky and the rest of the Renegades players is pretty fraught and more than likely not reparable right now or soon. So
that was alluded to with that tweet of it was Ustilo, right? That said, like, you guys don't know what's going on in the team.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know. It's Ricky. I don't know. He just looks like a lad. What can you hate about him?
I mean, it's certainly an interesting pickup from them. I mean, the only connection I can really think of is they have the Jonas connection, right? The Swedish connection. But you would certainly think it would be more logical, like Kassad would bring some random Serbian in to help them out or something like that. But so we'll see how this whole experiment goes.
Yeah, like his brother or something by the name of like Albanian Destroyer, Trifunovic, some fucked up Serbian shit. All right.
Well, it's just lucky that it's lucky for Renegades that he got in with no issue, because there were some other Swedes that were coming to the U.S. around the same time that were not able to make it through. Ooh.
Wait, do tell.
It's some premiere shenanigans.
Okay. Looking forward to when this breaks. But so something good did come out of QWERTY, and this was Adder getting a chance to shine in NA. Ricky, unfortunately, on the long flight back home, but that's not the first this year. Wasn't that in 2016, the whole situation with Winter Fox?
Yeah, I mean, Dexter at this point flew back fucking 6 months ago.
Dexter's telling his grandkids, like, one time.
I was in America once. It was great.
So something did come out of the
QWERTY experiment.
Yeah, the QWERTY and the Bills botched fairy tale. But okay, so I'm glad we put that like in the correct region, I guess, based off team rather than player. Yeah. So this is another one where it's like these players that you and I study or talk about, but Muffin Lightning, you mentioned earlier, we've got Silent 3M coming in, taking that boy Virtus' spot. I felt kind of bad with this one, considering that Virtus, I remember we were talking about he like quit CS to do Overwatch, and now
then he came back. Yeah.
Where's he playing now? I didn't check ESEA.
He's not playing anywhere right now, to my knowledge. I don't know if he's going back to Overwatch or. So I don't know the exact order of what happened here, but Rush did have an offer to sign with an org, and they got pulled at literally like the 23rd hour, 59th minute, 59th second. So I don't know if this change happened after that or was going to happen in tandem with that or what, but it's entirely possible that Virtus just got very demoralized after that happened and was like, I'm out. He, to my knowledge, is not playing anywhere right now, or at least hasn't been seen playing with anyone else that I've seen.
Well, but now they've got Sam.
Portillo.
Yeah.
Samuel Portillo.
Who continues to get the better end of the stick for like that duo that was playing together, him and Just9N.
Yeah.
Continues to like manage to play at a certain high level. Like, what is Just9N doing besides being on Shroud's stream? That was a serious question.
I mean, other than Spot standing in for CLG a couple times and TSM, I think once, the answer is nothing. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. I definitely saw him playing the Forest with Shroud. I can officially confirm it here.
All right. Just9N, Pro the forest player. Days will be happy for the update. We should let him know.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. All right, but I think you added notes here that you wanted to talk about a little bit more about some Premier shenanigans.
Yeah, so I mean, as you alluded to, obviously Rush picked up Silent from Muffin Lightning, which left a void in Muffin Lightning. So initially they filled that with Juice, the former Dethroned player, because Dethroned was like this team of Pug stars that had disbanded. And then like within the next day or two, Ichiban decided to step down from Muffin Lightning, and so he's now been replaced with Shot Up, another one of Juice's former dethroned colleagues. So Muffin Lightning, now we're down to 3 of the original Muffins, and we have two dethroned guys in there. So it's more like Dethroned Lightning or Muffin Dethrone, or yeah. So
Muffin Dethroned, I like that.
The old Muffin Lightning that we knew is more or less dead. Although they, according to the HLTV Core 3 rule, they're still rocking, but we'll see how long that lasts.
Right. We cheered for them while it was possible, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. Rips.
Yeah.
But just aside from that, now is like the point in the Premier season where, at least in North America, teams start panicking. Because they either started off shitty or not as well as they wanted to. So we're about 5 or 6 maps in, and there's been a flurry of changes all up and down kind of the standings, except for pretty much the tippy top where BMC are rocking. Enigma are kind of the same. Denial have stayed the same, but it's most teams in Premier are going to be making changes if they haven't already.
Has that been hard to cover for you, especially doing Premier scores for HLTV?
It's I mean, it's not super bad. It's actually much easier now that it's on HLTV because they actually care about telling people. But so that's good. But you just gotta be aware of it. There's, especially at the lower end of Premier, it's a lot of just mixes that are just trying to hang on to spots, so that's kind of a pain in the ass. Right. You have teams that are getting dropped and going by stupid ass names like Ben's anime team.
Ben's anime,
which
ban that team right
Stitch is
now.
like, how am I not on this team?
What are you talking about? I don't know if you just saw that I had a tweet that I want President Trump to ban anime. To unban iBuyPower, to ban anime, and to put official sanctions on all Valve employees. And put Gaben behind bars. Please make it happen.
For enabling underage gambling?
For being a liar. You should get jailed for being a liar. I'm kidding, then everybody would be in jail.
All right, moving on.
Moving on. Got him. Wait a second. Eclipse 6-0.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. They have not made changes yet. Your boy Ace. Your boy Ace is definitely turning heads. We've talked about this a little bit offline, but your boy Ace is turning heads. I guess I can talk about this. Just in general, North American-based teams are taking note of what is happening over in Europe with academy teams and seeing it as a new avenue to get a stranglehold on the scene. So there's definitely some established North American teams that are looking at the prospects of either building academy teams or buying teams wholesale and just branding them as their academy teams. So
right.
New trend.
Now, just to know, this is not just a, like, we want the best team in Counter-Strike thing. This is an extreme cost-saving tactic, because imagine how little you could pay for some of these guys, then they blow up and you've got them in a contract. I mean, you're making possibly hundreds of thousands of dollars right there for nothing. So yep. I certainly foresee in the next year, or let's say 6 months, that we will have some wickedly good players. Sort of, I don't know if... What are you writing right there?
Sorry.
No, I see what you wrote. Anyways, but yeah, so you might see some really good players who would appear to be trapped under certain contracts because they're inexperienced and they get put into this academy team, and then they can only wait until some old fart on, like, I don't know, Cloud9 or CLG decides to leave and they, like, get brought up, and then it'd be fine. Whatever. I mean, there's a lot of implications for it. It's definitely something that people
But
think about
but I
it.
mean, even in that situation, that's a saving maneuver, right? Because the cost of bringing up that guy from your farm team as opposed to buying him out from someone else is obviously much cheaper.
Right,
So
right.
yeah, I mean, it can be very good for the scene if it's done properly. If it's not, it can be very fucking terrible. It's
Right.
same thing as with the PEA or anything else.
I'll tell you this though, it finally does begin to look like, just like in other industries. I'm not saying this is a bad thing. I know this I might seem that way, but it does begin to look like, the big dog, the owners are going to start really cashing in with moves like this. Don't you think so? They finally got that like top down structure. Now just
Yep.
get a little bit of more licensing in there, and you'll be seeing pictures of your boy Jack in Malibu with like Skrillex or something. C9 Jack, that is.
Ugh.
Yeah. Anyways, okay. Sorry, we're getting sidetracked, but it's all good. So CS Summit, this $100,000 event in LA. I guess $100,000 isn't much to like wag your head at. I assume we'll have some European teams. I mean, sorry. The news here is that Cloud9 were put on the list, so now it's SK Optic, Cloud9, 8 teams. My guess here, Joe, you might give me some more info, is that like if we do get an EU team, it's going to be like a rogue or something. I don't. Is this enough for like NiP to stop their Blitzkrieg marketing tour across Sweden to come to LA?
No, NIP are gonna be busy developing a new ice cream flavor, so they're gonna be too busy to come out to California.
Right.
But no, I mean, so these are all the leaks that people have seen with the Sadakist chat logs and all that stuff are all regarding CS Summit. So NIP have allegedly declined an invite to CS Summit. That being said, I don't think we're going to get quite down to the level of rogue teams, or at least the teams that beyond the summit have been extending invites to are quite above the level of rogue. So it is possible that this could be a very solid, smaller, like a dream. It'll be small like a DreamHack Open, but the potential level could be much higher than a DreamHack Open, or at least the way that the DreamHack Opens are trending.
So what are they selling them with? Like being treated very well by the TO and good production, high marketing value? Because like this is a Northern Arena in terms of prize money, or like an iBuy Power Cup.
Right.
So what's the selling point?
Yeah, I think they're selling them with an open spot on the calendar that no one else has. They're selling them with a new TO saying like, hey, if this goes well, then we'll continue doing more and bigger events. And we have an established track record in Dota. We want to bring this production value, this brand over to CS. And, if everything works out, then we can continue making money with each other and for each other for the next however many iterations of this that happen.
Right.
So that is the plan, I think, and we hope it doesn't become a gaming paradise, which I don't think it will, because these guys, as I said, are known,
Right.
a known quantity. So
Yes, yeah, they are. All right, so over in Brazil, you really have to walk me through these two lineup changes that made their way to HLTV. I don't even want to like say anything. I'm going to sound idiotic. So let's first talk about Team One adding Bit. I know we've thrown the name Bit around before, although Brazil's not my forte. So, okay, how about this? Team One added Bit. And the X-Pain team, remember we were talking about all these crazy shakeups in Brazil, like another region that was like, oh, fuck CS, prioritize LOL. So we had all these X teams for a while. This is the one with Killdream too, the Portuguese player. And they added Tifa. So maybe break down who these guys are, Bit and Tifa. Obviously, Bit is the name rings more of a bell for me.
yeah, well, Bit, I mean, 1.6 player, MRBR, old player. He had recently joined up with, we've talked about previously about how the team that I was affectionately referring to as LIBR left in Brazil, which were the remnants of the teams that didn't get picked up into this new Orbit lineup, or Red Reserve lineup, as they are now. So that team was signed by Merciless Gaming, which was created by Apaka, the old coach of Luminosity. Bit was on that roster for not even a month, like 3 weeks. And then he got this Team One offer to go back to Brazil, because Merciless is planning on coming stateside, I think. I'm not actually sure, to be honest. So Team One had been playing with their coach as an active player. Obviously, that wasn't working, so they went out and they got bit from Merciless. Pain, we've talked about it previously. Pain, the organization dropped their CS team because they spent too much money on a LOL squad. So Pain Gaming, yeah, golf clap. So Pain Gaming were living in the U.S. and will remain in the U.S. They lost one of their players. I can't remember the name right now.
Dukin?
Was it Dukin? No, Dugan is still here.
ZQKS, right?
No. From the Pain roster, one of the players went back to Brazil, which is why they had to add Tifa.
Dukin announced that he was stepping down from the roster to take a break from competitive gaming.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. So Dukin went back to Brazil. I had read that there were some personal familial medical issues or whatever. But Dukin was out, and then Tifa had been released from the Big Gods roster maybe a month or so ago. So he was a free agent. Yeah.
Right? It means like mustaches or something.
Big Gods means mustaches?
Bigodes. That's like the pun of that name.
Had no idea.
Yeah, it's some. If we have a Brazilian viewer, I hopefully they can back me up. I've definitely seen this mentioned before. It's like Big Gods, but it also is a pun for the mustaches or something like that.
I guess that was kind of the logo, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. The logo was okay.
All right. Today you learned.
Yeah, I did. That's great. So yeah, they added Tifa, and they're planning to stay in the U.S. I don't have any idea if they have a line on potential sponsorship or whatever. But yeah, that they're a team that you can expect to try to come through the ECS qualifiers to try to get to the main league.
Right.
We'll see if that actually happens.
And maybe we should set aside some time. Maybe if we get a Brazilian guest, or maybe even with Lucas, or maybe just when we have a regular episode, but maybe planned out to talk about, has the Brazilian transition to NA worked out outside of the 10 players that you see on Immortals and SK. So we can talk about like the Pioneer, and that was that win out team, and then we can talk about who became Luminosity, right? Am I getting it correct?
Yep.
Yeah, and then we can talk about the other teams that came. We can discuss whether it worked, what are the drawbacks, what are the pros. So yeah, for the future.
Yeah, we can definitely. I have a short list of people that would come on talk about that.
Right.
And then one additional move as a result of all this is that Zand from INTZ was just added today to complete Merciless's roster.
Okay.
So
that's good.
The domino effect continues.
Right. All right. So you seem to find the Space Soldiers dilemma over in EU kind of funny. I see your little comment here. What's so funny about Calyx being brought on from XDP? Obviously, this had been talked about, speculated, wished for a long time.
Yeah.
But they've got Major as well, so what's going on here with the 6-player roster?
Yeah, so I mean, there's nothing that's funny about adding Calyx to a roster with Xantares. Like, the two far and away probably most hyped, best Turkish talents. In recent weeks, I've seen more people give some more credit to Woxic, who is also very good, but Calyx is just the level of performances that he's put up consistently sticks in people's minds. So on the surface, there's nothing crazy about that. What is crazy is this 6-man roster thing where they claim that they're going to pick and choose their roster and tactics based on the enemy, like the enemy that they're playing and the map and the circumstance, and like it's like we're going back to fucking 2005 where you have Veslin and 9 of his homies rolling up to the internet cafe and being like, oh yes, I go smoke and you play this match. Like yeah, it's
good reference.
we're just we're just the point that we are at CS where we've evolved. I tweeted this the other day. I was like, a 6-man roster isn't tactical diversity. It's a death sentence. You can't afford to be mixing and matching. Eventually, no matter what tactical advantage you think you're going to have, it will just evolve into a glorified pug with the same 6 people maybe, but a pug nonetheless.
Or it just means someone will always feel like they're on the chopping block, and that could create a lot of tension.
Yeah, well, we've already seen this thing fall on its face because since they added Calyx, they haven't played a single match with Engine. So they've been playing with the same five. So despite all their lip service to the tactical diversity crap, they've been using the same five, which I frankly would expect to continue, because I think that keeping all these players signed is just a power play to have the entire Turkish national team from TWC under their belt, and they'll keep Engine on board until his contract runs out or whatever.
Right. Okay.
So
there's that. All right. Anyway, so team preparation. Now, where's this org from? Because they obviously had a CIS team in 2016. I know they came in with Swedes, kind of like the forgetful few, if I could call them this, because you've got like Zende, used to be on DenDD, and then you've got Darty is a name I very rarely have seen. I believe he was on Archangels. Downey obviously stands out for a really stupid name, but also was on Archangels. And then these are less. I have to admit I haven't seen Zita and Decent. So definitely like a low down in the grassroots kind of like a team 1, 2, 3 of Sweden. Or is team 1, 2, 3 on a higher step?
Well, I would actually say that, at least in terms of name brand, like Darty, Decent, Zende and Downey were all on that Torpedo lineup that was at Counterpit.
Decent was on the Torpedo lineup?
Yep.
Are you sure? Oh, yeah, here's his picture.
Yep.
Dude, what the... Okay.
Yeah,
fine.
So these guys,
It's going to take some more Xanax.
The Team 1, 2, 3 comparison might actually be appropriate because this was a core of players that looked like they were on their way up in Sweden, you know what I mean? And just kind of the bottom fell out at some point. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
I guess.
It's like one of those stories where you're like, here's another potentially strong European team. How many more can they create?
Well, it's interesting because I question how far they can go because, Zenda still has ESEA matches that he has to play with to hold on to that spot with the Identity guys, right? Or they're now Veritas Aquatas or whatever, because I guess they watched Boondock Saints before they had to change their name, and now that's what it is. But, so I question how committed he is to this lineup now, but like I would expect to see them at Copenhagen games. Like that's the level of event that they'll be attending. They'll just duck on across the water over yonder and go to CPH games.
Right, which is fine. I mean, just like in a more casual way of seeing it. It's like playing baseball at your local baseball field, which nobody does anymore. Like all the baseball fields of America are empty these days. I don't know. Maybe that's just my weird paranoia. I just feel like people don't care about baseball anymore.
I care about baseball, man.
Yeah, baseball's great. Why would you hate? Anyways, so over Ents, we kind of had started joking about this org and like the team. I mean, champions of the most prestigious tournament of 2016, the IESF World Championship. Certainly.
After which everything took a sharp downturn.
I mean, when you make it to the top,
There's only one way to go.
Yeah, haters will be coming for you. Anyways, so they basically plundered Skitlight, which is definitely like a Finnish org, I believe, because they've definitely had variations of Finnish teams over the years. So they plundered that. We might have even talked about Skitlight falling apart on Who last week. We might have, but maybe not. But anyways, so I think the way this is looking is that Arvid is like back, and then the rest of the guys are the Skitlight play. Yeah. So, Osiris, for example, Leaf, haven't seen that name too much. Replan and Joel B, which is like the, cheap, poor man's Joel Yoles.
Budget Joel's. Yoles. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, is this like like the preparation story? It's like, okay, there they are. They'll probably go to Copenhagen Games. Or is there anything exciting here?
There's nothing super duper exciting unless you're like really geek out over this shit like we do. So like what was kind of interesting was that Ents and Skitlight both surrendered, released their rosters, but wound up keeping one person from each and then building a team around them. So in the case of Ents, they kept Arvid, and they took 4 people from ex Skitlight. In the sense of Skitlight, they kept Sergej, this young Finnish talent, and adding 4 people to his side. So the incestuousness keeps going round and round. You know, there's only so many people that play Counter-Strike at a high level, so you gotta do what you can.
By the way, I just noticed that we actually have pictures from Philadelphia 10. Because I was, yeah, that's crazy.
That was me. That was all me, baby.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, but look, you got pictures of. Okay, never mind. I won't say that. That's edgy. But you got Dazzle in there. Anyways,
dude, Dazzle and Shot Up are fucking twins. It's
really?
Impossible. Like, just fucking look at them.
Right. If only.
It's actually.
If only I remembered my keybinds for the tech, you know, for Chrome. Next episode. Or we just need a producer. Like, who can we get?
Bircho. I don't know.
Yeah.
What's he gonna be doing at 3 a.m. in Croatia? Nothing.
Yeah. Dreaming about getting out. Oh, fuck. All right. Okay. Yeah. So I was just looking at that because I was looking at Velox. You mentioned Ben's anime team, and they're playing Velox, who have Whitmer and Mario and Dazzle. So I just wanted to see who was on Ben's anime team. Okay. Anyways, so
speaking of your boys on Eclipse just got handed their first loss by E United.
Oh,
Hot off the press, boys.
Hot off the press. So gotta get this out soon, or else it won't be. There'll be another, just like the Stich and Joe effect, you know, E United drop team or something tomorrow as I'm releasing. All right, so remember the running motif of the $5,000 European Online Cups. I can announce another one today, the Esports Arcade TV Cup 2. I think we've mentioned Cup 1 before. This time the team list is alternate attacks. By the way, Penta won the first edition. Penta becoming rapidly in the CS Underground the biggest meme of 2017.
I don't know about rapidly. Like, they've been there for a while.
Okay, fine. If you were to follow Joe's Twitter, not rapidly, but... Anyways, so as he pointed out, for example, that Virtus Pro have used less stand-ins in 4 years than Penta have in, the last 4 months?
It was 3 years and a week, actually.
Right. All right, anyways, so this one does not have Penta, but it has alternate attacks, Tatus, which...
Frozen team.
Basically just Czechoslovakians. And I'm not saying that as like an ignorant American. There are Czech players and Slovakian players. The XDP team, who I don't know the 5 they're going to bring to a tournament like this. And then we've got Tricked. Tricked will come up very shortly, of course. We have Tricked in here for other reasons. Yeah, just pointing it out, it's there if you wanted to watch some CS. Maybe if you know a gambling site, because those apparently are back. There you have your perfect matches to bet on. Would I be right in that assumption?
Yeah. I'm sure if you want to bet on things, you can find a way to do it.
Yeah. All right. So Vexed, we did cover them coming back. I don't know why that org is like. I don't know. They had a lot of drama with them as an org. But anyways, they released Haji. I also had a joke about that name. And Almanek, I do remember that. And they added Alumet. I don't actually know how to say that, but it's Alumet and Smiley.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, like...
Yeah, I mean, you know what the important takeaway here is old man Gerard's still in there. So even if you're 50 years old, you can still frag out in France.
Oh, my God. Honestly, because of the tech issues last week, I'm really worried about showing pictures or showing my Chrome, but I really wish I could show you guys. Please search Jarod, Jarod. I mean, this man's grandkids are sitting on his lap as he's playing CSGO, and he doesn't give a fuck. Yeah, so was NPK? Yeah, NPK is in here too.
Yeah, NPK was previously coaching the team. So I mean, they lost Devo Duvek to go to Envious, although he is now riding the Envious bench. And then they cut Haji and Amanek, so they had 3 holes. So NPK has come back into the roster. NPK, who is Roombang, aka Scara's brother, by the way. Those guys are brothers, in case you hadn't noticed. And then, adding Alume, the Portuguese French wonder. And you said Smiley? Is it? I've always said Smiley. That just seems more correct.
I don't ever pronounce Y's with the hard American English I, so I just said Smiley. I don't know.
All right, like Millie Vanilli Smilly.
Yeah, exactly.
I can
All
do
right,
it.
all right. So moving on, kind of, scraping out the barrel a bit here, but not this one. But I was talking about the Vex story because this is kind of something we talked about before. That Kakafu, the Austrian, was on his way to bigger things, and he joined Big as the coach. So that's actually pretty big. Haha.
Embarrassing.
But can you coach? Can you coach the man's got B? That's what I wonder.
I mean, I would say so. I think he, as far as what I've heard, he actually was a very big fan of Ely, the analyst on NRG. So the American player that used to, we were talking about Silent and Just 9N before. So he used to play / coach with those
right?
guys. Yeah, Ellie. Yeah. So I think that he was well regarded within that team. So I think that Gob is certainly open to being coached and having like another voice there. And I mean, Kakafu has been helping him out since before that team went official, right? So this is no surprise. This was just how much are we going to pay you? Okay, not that much. How about this much? Yes. So they finally were able to agree, and now it's official. But this isn't going to change anything within like the big structure animation, kind of working as a team.
Okay. So the IEM Katowice schedule came out. I was knocking this tournament last week a bit just because of like the past. When you host something in Katowice, shit happens. But I do see the schedule is pretty crazy. I kind of see this thing going late into the night.
Just in terms of aggressive scheduling. Yeah.
Especially Wednesday and Thursday.
Yeah.
They got the. Wait a second. Did HLTV fuck this up? Where are the other two quarterfinals?
Wait, no, it's there's a
right.
There's three teams advanced.
Don't talk to me.
So you have a round of 6 and then a semifinal and then the finals. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Columbia degree can only get you so much. Reading schedules is not one of the skills.
Poverty.
Ooh. Sorry, going back to my co-op in Brooklyn. Anyways, yeah, so it's an aggressive schedule, but it is right around the corner. It's definitely the next big tournament we'll be talking about. So there's that. This came out today. Scream officially joining Envious. Who would have thought?
Yeah, finally. Just to go back to Katowice, one thing, I'm just thinking of this. How fun would it be if all 3 Danish teams got placed in the same group? That would have just been incredible. We got close. I mean, you had to get close one way or the other. Obviously, you're gonna have 2 and 1, but 3-0 would have been spicy.
I like this. I really want to watch as much as I can of this. There's a lot of potential here for those storylines from Vegas to carry over. I mean, you've still got Optic and C9. You've got FaZe and NiP and fnatic. I mean,
yeah, FaZe with Nico and like literally their first officials will be playing here.
Right.
So that's cool.
Well, we can talk about this maybe in Shady and Spooky because that's like the gossip section. But the complaints from players about not preparing because some playing engines decided to not work. I mean, who would have thought that flying in a metal can is hard? In the sky using combustion. I don't know. Sorry, I'm sure you saw that I was being ironic about it earlier.
I did.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, finally, I'll let you take me through this one. This one's a big clusterfuck, and unless you're kind of in the scene, I don't want to misstep and say wrong. The Jugi buyout.
Wrong. Sad.
So the Jugi buyout finally came through. Once again, a lot of statements being put out. What's going on here, Joe? Please.
Yeah, I mean, I think we dissected this pretty thoroughly in our last episode, right? We talked about this last episode.
Yes.
So, in which I said that I did not expect this benching to last until 2018 because
question.
What?
It was a question. Yeah.
Oh, it's a question of money.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I saw some people saying that like, oh, the buyout must be like 6 figures or something crazy. The buyout wasn't even that crazy. This was all just big dick businessmen trying to whip it out and show each other who's the boss in Denmark, and they eventually were able to settle it out. The asking price was very close to being met, is what I've been told. And on top of that, the teams are now going to play a show match between each other. So you get some entertainment value as well. I hope you see a lot of BM knives coming in. Some teabagging, maybe.
Well, at least that was resolved in like a pretty cool way. I mean, wasn't I would have been like we need more Quake show matches when people talk shit with each other. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Or like Deathmatch Classic. I don't know, something like that. All right, so you're gonna see. Okay, go ahead.
And they did have their first official today in Pro League, and Yugi did, bust caps and asses. So yeah, he was doing what he was put there to do. So that's exciting.
He's a hot talent. Honestly, it's a big surprise that he didn't get scooped up sooner.
Yeah,
we've talked about the Peter endorsement. That was months ago. So
yep,
really surprised. I mean, imagine if this guy wanted. I could have seen him making fat cash over an NA for some team,
Well, we've talked about the team that wanted him, so yeah, he absolutely could have been.
Yeah, right, we have. Okay, so, blit. Over in Asia, we did have, I think this was the first piece of HLTV news, like big news that happened after the show. It's quite old now. But it was the VG splitting apart into two teams. So VG and VG Renaissance. It's not Renaissance. It's just...
No, it's just an alternative misspelling of Renaissance, which really pissed me off.
The effects of imperialism and opium dens live on in China. Apparently. Just people
not great, yeah.
People getting loopy. Anyways... Such a weird mix. I have a hard time because I'm not amazing or I'm not Flames to tell you who's going to come out the better of these lineups. Ultimately, I would argue that splitting something that did once work is healthy, but also will probably lead to a lot of chaos for a while. So can we see these guys kind of like relapse back into a lower tier? I mean, all of China's in a lower tier now.
Into a lower tier? Yeah, absolutely. The answer to your question is I don't see this working out at all. This is Savage and TB putting, their enjoyment over actually winning. There were personality issues between the old men on the team and kind of the young upstarts. So Vici had been like, okay, you can go groom these other people on what amounts to their academy team. And we're going to put the other three of you on this other team. We're going to hope that you guys know what you're doing. So, we'll see. I don't have much faith.
Yeah, no, it kind of looks like... I don't know. I don't know how to talk about Asia anymore. I had high hopes, and it's just so weird now.
They're just disappointing us all.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's very interesting, and we really will have to wait and see if some team can sort of get the structure and discipline. My hopes are still on MVP Project just because of the like Rambo nostalgia connection, and they had that nice gaming setup, like they had a crazy training regimen apparently. Let's see. Anyways, so over Tainted Minds changing too. They added Dexter, the grandpa. He's flown over from Winter Fox and now somehow found his way back. No, I'm kidding. Of course he was going to find his way back. And they added Ferg.
As coach.
As
so
coach.
Ferg as coach, yeah. Tainted Minds had parted ways with Wizard and had been seen playing with Dexter. So this is now Dexter's second team that he's managed to play on since Winter Fox, so he's getting all along in life fantastically. But yeah, Ferg coaching them, and these guys are, look out for them in Australia Premier and the Zen League and other stuff like that. Hopefully we get a chance to see them abroad more often, like last year, but For whatever reason, not really a lot of news about kind of international tournaments happening in Asia this year. And I don't know if that's just because the front end of the year has been so loaded with kind of tippy top tier events, or if maybe 2016 didn't pan out financially the way that some of these orgs
for those
hope that it would.
Yeah, for those millionaire Chinese playboys. I do see we have China Cup 2017 in the middle of March. There wasn't any news about it. Oh, no, there was. No, wait, this is news that I wrote in 2016.
Yeah. China Cup was supposed to happen in 2016 and didn't.
Oh, it didn't happen. That's right. Yeah. Oh, right. I swear. Right, because China Top happened.
Yep.
And that's why it makes China Cup didn't happen. God damn it. All right. Yep. Well, this is the one where you're apparently getting championship rings if you win. At least according to my original story in March 1st, 2016. So this will happen March 17th to 19th. Find out then if you get championship rings. Great. No, but yeah. So I guess that's happening. We will see if those happen. I know you mentioned that we might see something in Australia, a tournament. Fuck. This is what sucks about being a new hire, that you get so little vacation days. My vacation days are booked. I was like, I will legit leave work just to go and cover that myself. I'll be like, Peter, you better not send Striker down there. I'm going to Australia. I have a weird fetish with Australia.
Going down under.
Yeah, but my vacation days are booked out like crazy. Fuck corporate life, dude. But yeah, that's how it is. Anyways, in the Who section, so
hit me with some juiciness.
The first juiciness, I don't know if it's juicy, but the Bears got tired of that weird atmosphere at the CLG commune. So
he got tired of drinking the Kool-Aid, boys. Yeah. He's out.
So he left coaching CLG Red. He did tweet something about wanting to play again.
Yeah, so he obviously drank too much of the Kool-Aid before getting out. But
yeah, apparently. I actually do see quite a lot of interesting stuff here that you're going to have to help me through a bit. For example, what's going on here with the Orbit lineup? What happened? Why did they become Red Reserve? Was this just a sponsorship change? Oh, it's a merger. It's a merger.
Yeah, it was a merger. So, so Orbit have retracted themselves as an esports brand. They're now an esports holding company. They've merged with Red Reserve, and all the teams that resided under Orbit will now be Red Reserve. So Orbit will be the holding company, Orbit Investments, SAB or whatever you have in Sweden, and all the teams will bear the name Red Reserve.
Right, okay. Here's another one that I'm kind of surprised wasn't picked up by HFTV, to be honest, with Sentries and ZTK going inactive from Norse.
Yeah, so it's funny story here is this was immediately precipitated by Norse getting smashed in Telenor League by Temp.no, so Anne's team with Mystic. And apparently this move happened immediately following that. They being Norse are now looking at picking up Mystic from that Temp.no lineup, as well as Blue, who was a former player of Deadweights before they joined Norse. So those are the two people that you can expect to see rounding out that lineup.
Okay. But I mean, Norse is a refresh team, right?
Correct.
Yes, okay. So, I mean, it is interesting that, refresh teams are in the spotlight a bit. People were wondering what's going on with all this big money, so those changes probably merited covering. Then again, Norse kind of
although this is certainly the number 4 out of 4 refresh teams,
yes.
By a large margin. So
yeah, true. All right, so the Le Tortue Ninja, I think we did talk about them on a previous Who section, but they just got signed by Death Esports, so this is like Petite Scale, XPG, these are French guys, of course. Lambert, I'm sure you would say, Meta and Pollux. There's that. There was a lot of French stuff. For example, in addition, I believe Super 6, like Drizzer and MSX, got signed by B Genius, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and then we had this, probably the 3 of 3 here, but XE2G went to Once Against. I don't even know if that's an organization. Let's take a look. Oh, yeah, it is.
Yep.
But with 200 followers on Twitter.
Right.
Okay.
So not the best.
No, but yeah, a lot of French moving up, I guess. Consolidation. The only other thing I would want to mention, unless you had something in mind, was, I love my Baltics. So Prilidin getting brought on to Mentality.
Yep.
We've got a Latvian player. He's a young guy. 1999? Shit. So this 18-year-old kid. Maybe scouting alert. I haven't seen the stats, but it's apparently a hot thing to get guys out of the Baltics now.
Yeah, I mean, Estonia has been kind of picked up. We haven't seen Latvia really hit the big time yet, but I'm sure it will at some point as Spain gets farmed out and Estonia gets farmed out and Sweden gets farmed out and all these other places.
And if people forget about independent cheaters in Latvia or
right.
every player in Lithuania cheating. Yeah.
But not playing ducks. They're clean, bro.
Oh man, yeah. But yeah, that is interesting how that little reputation developed for Lithuania. Maybe we should talk about that sometime. I don't know if people care, Lithuanian CS. Anyways.
The Lithuanians will care. The one Lithuanian we have watching.
Yeah. All right, so that's it. Unless you, I didn't. Oh my god, dude. Well, silly me. I didn't change the header thing. That's fine. Yeah. Okay, over in Shady and Spooky. So, I wrote this, but didn't we talk about this last time? Or no? The first thing.
Did we talk about the first thing?
The PEA thing.
Oh, did we? I feel like we did.
Yeah, well, anyway, Jason, I think so. Or we just, trash on him so hard all the time. But yeah, Jason got the perennial fuck up. Rejected by his own kind. Kicked out of PEA.
PEA, yep. On to fuck up something else, as I said.
Stay posted to his LinkedIn, I guess. And, I mean, we're kind of running out of spicy material right now. Because, I mean, I wrote players in Las Vegas, but I already took my little cheeky grin. I already mentioned it. Unless there's something else. I saw there was a lot of gambling. I think C's lost $5,000. Or as was alleged by his teammate Simple on Twitter.
Simple is known to be very honest and accurate always. So
hey, he had a pretty honest and accurate Twitter video. It was it was great game. Thank you for emotion. It's
Thank you.
Him and Coldzera must have had a pact to calm down on Twitter. They both had really measured reactions to losing. It was pretty rare.
Yeah, I mean, I think probably waking up and having a squad of Russian hitmen at your door being like, hello. You will stop. You bring large embarrassment to Virtus Pro and ES Force.
That I actually, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised. It is a little bit weird over there right now with ES Force. E-class Mercedes, left and right, just flying through the sky.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, so that happened, of course. In case you guys didn't know, Taz apparently getting his E-Class Mercedes, which is a good transition since there wasn't that much shady spookiness to recent.
Oh, wait.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I don't know if you saw this Reddit thread, but there was a Reddit thread that someone put up saying that DreamHack Masters Las Vegas is literally a giant fuck you to Valve. Did you see this?
No, I didn't see that.
So
Why?
The guy's line of reasoning was that it was a fuck you to Valve because DreamHack was just ignoring the coaching guidance and all other rules like that, as well as literally hosting it in a mecca of gambling where Valve has come down on all these gambling sites and stuff like that. Do you have any thoughts about that? I don't necessarily buy into it being the case, but I love the interpretation. That obviously makes me.
I don't buy into it. Yeah, I'm with you. I don't buy into it being the case, but I think it's an amazing way to interpret it. I'm all about giant fuck yous to Valve. I was just thinking about this today, that the players have enough capital and fame on Twitter to legit just be like, well, they're not going to do this. But if they wanted to, they could all be like, we're going to stop playing until you give iBuyPower a second chance, or give them a professional review. They could do that. It would cause a crazy shit show. All the TOs would be like, I'm calling up ES Force. Why aren't you playing? But
get the hitmen. We need them now.
But these aren't laborers at a factory in Bristol. These are players with a huge following. So, I mean, if they realize the power they have, they could totally start fucking with Valve and all the duck-footed decisions that they make. Yeah. you guys all know how Joe and I feel about Valve. Don't get me started. Yeah. Anyways,
I ran out of beer. I need another one.
Yeah. So you reminded me though. I guess for Shady and Spooky, I mean, DreamHack didn't really do their market research well when it came to filling the arena, huh?
Well,
I felt bad, but yeah, it was pretty empty.
I had heard kind of that they weren't really sure how to market it exactly, because if you market something in Vegas one week, no one there that week is going to be there the next week. So how do you really do on the ground marketing? Like, it's not the same as like ESL New York, where people actually like live in New York and there's like real humans that live here. So like if you bombard them with enough Subway advertisements, they might be like, oh, I might check that video game thing out at the Barclays. That's not really how things work in Vegas. So yeah, I mean, I think the stage was awesome, even if there weren't a lot of people around it.
Very little people. It topped, I think, Bucharest. Bucharest only looking worse because it was a major. But I mean, then again, DreamHack, I guess, just wanting to experiment a bit. They don't come out losing anything from it. People will probably remember, but it's not a big thing. I agree with you that Vegas, like the biggest thing in Vegas in the last 10 years was creating a market for EDM, for electronic dance music, and bringing all the DJs there all the time, and that was a big success and change to the formula. And I have read articles that Vegas, like the mayor and the council in Vegas, want to make it more family friendly, make it lose like the mob gambling reputation, but I don't think it's ready for esports yet. For that, you need what you need for esports is a lot of suburbs in the area with just kids, living in their suburban middle class homes, being like, Dad, please drive me and my friends, because we sit on the computer all day because we're nerds, to this tournament to watch. I mean, this is the market that's growing esports right now. Sure, in the future, it might be different parts of the youth market, but right now, that is who you will see at events. That you can't get around that. Yeah.
I mean, I applaud, the effort. I'm not going to fault them for the effort.
Yeah.
So.
No fault. It had a cool stage. It had good talent. Sato and Henry G finally got to cast the final. It had good games. I mean, everything went well. It was just a little unfortunate. Imagine if it was in Malmo or anywhere else in Europe, in Cologne. Yeah. All right, so we can talk about Vegas some more, about the games. HLTV, the staff, as you all might have seen, had a little prediction thing. I started out very strong. I was the only person to call the mouse sport server Navi on day one. Then I kind of shit the bed. Eventually I was so desperate I turned to hoping Navi would win in the quarter, I believe. It didn't work out.
That did not work out,
See, I had my Guardian hat and he did not come through. I believe it was Professor who won.
But making a stunning comeback from his last event where he had like a 30% average or something ridiculous, which I guess was the major, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So he had a bad time.
But I think everyone scored well. In fact, my score was down at the bottom, and that was only within a certain amount of points of the top. And I think Flames, the Australian, was 2 below me at bottom, and it still wasn't bad. But yeah, we played this game, and I think a lot of the ones. There were definitely, I think, by the quarterfinals, it got pretty easy to call what was going to happen. Obviously, a lot of you guys, as I smugly gloated, thought Astralis would beat VP. I knew VP were going to win. I'm not saying that with hindsight bias. I just had a feeling, and I thought a little bit about what might happen and the sort of motivations going into the game. I also knew VP would beat SK if it came to it. I have chat logs where I tell Benja ahead of time. And he's like, oh, you could tell the finals later. And I'm like, VP over Astralis, VP beats SK in the final. But I'm not saying that to brag. I just knew it was VP's tournament. So that's all I really have to say, I guess, for me. Is I saw how strong VP were. Obviously, they weren't perfect. They dropped maps to Astralis and SK. They didn't look superb, but we had Snacks doing crazy things. We had Bialy playing
and to Gambit in groups, which I had that one right. So that was.
Oh yeah, I didn't have that one right. That was good on you.
All I can say is if C9 actually pulled off that win against NiP, I would have had enough ammunition forever because I would have been the only person that predicted it, and that would have been incredible.
All I can
And
say.
I know that most of you guys didn't pick C9 because both of these teams are memes right now, but the results of that game showed that it wasn't like a 15 out of 16 sort of a matchup. Like, you guys are just being idiots.
Yeah, but your disgusting jingoism for the Americas knows no bounds. I mean, you'll always pick these teams.
That's not why I picked them, though.
Okay, fine. Obviously, going further, though...
I did pick Misfits over fnatic just because fnatic are a disaster right now. So anyone
so
beat them, you know. So
No, I mean, yeah, this was not a tournament for Swedes.
Yeah.
So that might even be our title. Something to do with like last night
in Sweden. Yes.
Last night in Sweden, a bunch of Swedes got destroyed.
Yes.
Yes.
Last night in Vegas in Sweden. Yes.
Yep. Last night in Sweden. Anyways, so yeah, fnatic looking like a bit of a meme. NiP looking like a bit of a meme. I mean, they did crush Tyloo, but Tyloo's not even a meme. They're just a joke.
Yeah.
So
they're just sad right now. They're like, I don't know. They're like the embodiment of the stop, he's already dead GIF at this moment.
Yeah, which I've never been a fan of that GIF. But yet, I do have to say the two teams that I really wanted, I not necessarily thought would get far, but really wanted it to be their moment to get far was Gambit and FaZe. FaZe are always getting to that same fucking spot of the decider game. Looking hot and then, god damn it. I just want them to get far, like to semi, like the old G2 at oh my god, was it Bucharest where they got a semi at the major? Was
it Cluj?
Cluj. I said Bucharest earlier. I meant Cluj when I was talking about DreamHack.
We know.
Okay, you guys know. No, that would be considered like racist, I guess, in Sweden.
Yeah, whatever.
To get anything wrong, the Sweden shots all over the place.
I mean, I think if FaZe wanted to get out of this groups, they had to do it in a 2-0 because I don't think with a stand-in they had a good chance of making it out. You know what I mean? So I didn't have much stock in FaZe going far in this tournament. There was a chance for them to make the quarters, but once they had to play that BO3 decider, I think they were out of luck.
Yeah, basically, and that's happened before with them. And then the other one is Gambit. I mean, always looking so strong, and then I was convinced they were going to beat North, honestly. And, I mean, it came close on Nuke. It was 16-11. Nuke's still a bit of a tricky pickle for teams. And then Inferno, I mean, the double overtime, I believe it was. So, yeah, that team is ready to, win an event like this. So, I mean, they did win DreamHack Winner, but a bigger event. And the only other thing, I guess, for me, unless you had something, obviously complexity. Fuck. They just lose big matches, and the only thing I get out of it is Jason Katz tweeting a picture of him, or not Jason Katz, Jason Lake tweeting a picture of himself so good to see Complexity's logo on these big tournaments. He's pointing to it, and it's 10 likes, and I'm
getting shit on.
Yeah, that was a bit. That team just needs something else to compete, even at a tier 2 level. Anyways, and Misfits did pretty well against VP. That's I call that the Shazam effect.
Okay. Elaborate.
It's like a strong start against... Oh, it's Shazam and Shongares. They start strong against European teams and then shit the bed in the middle of the game.
Fade. Yep.
It's happened before.
Yep. I've witnessed that, for sure.
Yeah, so...
Although, I mean, I did notice just today looking at it that Misfits have broken into the top 30 rankings, so we'll see if they can continue that climb. They're just about as high, if not eclipsing, right where TSM was, I believe, or they're reaching their peak, I believe. I'm not sure exactly what TSM maxed out at, but look for them to continue their upwards climb, I would say. Especially if we see them in ECS. After all, they'll get more time and more maps to play. So,
yeah. No, I do believe by this team. I mean, certainly I've had my memes about Sean Garris, for example, but I do think the firepower is there, so definitely excited to watch them. All right, so I don't have anything for the weekly Fuck Valve minute. Fuck Valve?
Fuck them.
Yeah. They did some updates, some small updates, but I think it was just like fixes and stuff.
Did you see this tweet that ESEA or ESL put out today?
No, I wasn't looking at my Twitter too much today.
I don't know. I'll link it to you right now.
Okay.
So they put this out, and I don't know.
If I open it on stream, then you'll get seen. So I'll have to look at it later, unless you send it to me on Steam or something.
Okay. Well, it's not that juicy, but anyway, it was just ESL puts out practice like a pro on 128 tick servers, and so my immediate reaction was like, oh, but Valve want the matchmaking experience to be exactly the same as the pro experience, so surely we can't be endorsing these. So I don't know. ESL telegraphing their future break with Valve on more important rulings. We'll see. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, no, that'd be really cool to happen. I think it would be one of the most welcome developments of CS:GO at its current state for there to be a break with Valve on their rule set, because their rule set is just how much.
Oh yeah, and
like
going back to that. Yeah, and going back to that, we talked about it kind of before, but DreamHack just kind of voiding the coach rule, right? Going back to the way that things used to be. I saw a lot of players' personalities saying that, like, oh, we need to standardize rule set, blah, 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 blah. And I was, I guess, one of the voices saying that I was actually welcoming this change because someone needs to be there to counterbalance Valve, because they don't have the interests of the competitive scene at heart. So
not to mention they don't have a legitimate check, to use an American government term, a check and balance on their decision making. They're like a time Seattle fairness. Oh wait, you're behaving like a tyrant. How do you live with yourself, Valve?
on beds of money.
Yeah, it's easy to justify anything on beds of money, to be honest.
It's true.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I was actually, I mean, regardless of kind of what side you are on the actual rule itself, it was just exciting and intriguing that we had a major big time TO kind of just like flying in the face of Valve so flagrantly. And there were people saying I like the rule, I don't like the rule. I did see most people saying we need to have a consistent rule about this stuff, which even that I don't necessarily disagree with. You know, you can kind of equate it to tennis, where you're playing on one event is on clay and the other is on grass, so on and so forth, right? We might say it's a little bit of a different like magnitude of changing the coach being an IGL versus not, but I think it's exciting.
Yeah, it's hard to find an exact analogy. Like, you couldn't say that it's for not allowing your coach to come onto the tennis court, because it's much different in a 1v1 sport to not have your coach. So I'm sure there's a good analogy, but yeah, I mean, it will. Once again, you gotta keep a lookout. I'm very excited for what's gonna happen this year in CS:GO. It seems like a lot of I can seem to be a negative guy, guys. Joe knows this, you know. Always flattening people, but I think a lot of positive stuff could come about, unless someone shits the bed. You know, Phantom Lord Part 2 unravels the entire CS:GO ecosystem.
Is that guy just dead? Is that guy in a dish somewhere? Like, he's literally
He definitely blew cash in Vegas, because I remember someone linked his Snapchat. It was on the Richard Lewis. But yeah, maybe he's been assassinated. Wouldn't be surprised by some Mexican cartel or something.
We'll all just find out this is all just a elaborate ploy to avoid Dingle Derper. He was like, fuck. What have I gotten myself into?
I think that's the reaction of most players and personalities when they start dating these e-girls, because you know, you can find yourself a nice woman, but most of these e-girls, man.
Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, as the saying goes.
There's a reason they stay at home on the computer. This is a man's world, Alpha. Gotta stop recording. Yeah. All right. Anyways, final note. You can have your final words too. Very good to see the high viewership numbers for CS:GO. It really feels like it has unstoppable traction now.
Yeah.
10 p.m. like East Coast time, 300,000 viewers for the final.
Yeah, not a good time for Europe specifically at all, right? Although I did see that a lot of the Australians were actually pretty happy about the timing of a West Coast event, so that was good. Yeah, definitely. The good news is that like the gambling stuff hasn't affected viewership in a major way for these big events, right? We've seen kind of a contraction of these smaller online events, but in terms of like the big events with the big money, with the big and best teams, people are going to watch that, which is good.
Yep.
And there have been movements to try to legalize some sort of gambling betting in Vegas itself. So if that could happen, that could be big as well. I'm not saying that's going to be a huge motivating factor for the industry because it's one fucking city in the U.S., obviously, but could it?
Yeah, you get strange people that come through Vegas. You know that gambling addicted guy who sits down and sees these weird things to bet on could be just $1 million or $100, and then he suddenly decides to start sponsoring it. I know, for example, I don't know if I've name dropped this person, so I won't right now, but I know like a well-off millionaire who manages a famous personality, not in esports, but who like gambles on CS:GO matches and is interested in them. So if you get people like that, that's when you really start to drive the faux money, the glitz and glamour, churn it out.
Twitch parties, yeah.
No, don't get me. All right, anyways, so that's it for me. Shout outs, of course, to our fan base and to people on Twitter.
To our sponsors.
It's like who pays you? And yeah, we'll really try to this coming weekend because it just works out for the people involved to get that episode that we talked about, and we have another really high profile guest. Who also we need to track down, and it will happen too. Yeah, you have anything to say? No,
that's it. Yeah, we'll definitely. I can think of we have at least 3, I would say, solid guest shows in the making that we've been chatting with people about. So we will get to them as time allows.
Yep.
And we will remember to record the sound this time.
Yeah, we will definitely remember. All right, adios, guys.